Okay, so you might have heard about sectional slate tables and wonder what is a sectional slate table? Well, let me explain. First of all, you can get a single piece slate, so that's one piece of slate, that's what the whole playing surface is made out of. Or you can get a sectional slate table, which will be made out of either 3 pieces generally, so if it's an American pool table, for example, it would be 3 pieces. But some snooker tables going up to a 12-foot table will be made up of 5 separate pieces of sectional slate. Okay, so why would you have a sectional slate table? Well, there's a few reasons. First of all, it's easier to transport. So if you've got a large table, so 8, 9 foot, or maybe a snooker table, like I said, 12-foot size table, it makes it a lot easier to transport if it's coming in separate pieces, not only because of the size, but because of the weight. So some sectional slate tables will have a very thick slates. They might be 25mm thick, 30mm, sometimes 35 or even 40 on some of the really old snooker tables, which means that each piece of slate is really, really heavy to carry. So that's why it will come in separate pieces. Second reason is because it's easy to install. So if you've got to get a great big slate into a difficult to reach location, either up or downstairs or just in a building where there's a lot of turns, you couldn't get that one piece of slate in there. To be able to separate it up into 3, 4 or 5 pieces makes it an awful lot easier to get it into that location. And the third reason is that you can install them with real precision. So tournament tables generally will be using sectional slate, certainly for snooker, and a lot of the tournament American pool tables will be made out of sectional slate, and they'll be installed by professionals. And each slate, as you can see in this video here, where we've got the Brixton, which I've got behind me, is being installed by our engineer here. You can see that he's got 3 separate slates, and each of those are installed one at a time and leveled one at a time to make sure that the precision is there, that the ball will roll absolutely level, and they'll take their time to make sure that they are precisely placed. Okay, so is there a downside to having a sectional slate table? Well, there's a couple. First of all, you can't move it. So once you've had the table installed, so if you bought a table from us, our delivery team have come and installed it for you, got it into exactly the right place. Once it's there, you mustn't move it. Why can't you move it? Well, because once you start to try to pick up the table, you'll find that actually the slates are installed on the base, which will be on the legs. If you pick up the frame of the table, so I've got a Trisco P40 here. If I pick up the frame is not actually connected to everything that's underneath here. So to pick it up and move it, you'll start moving the frame, but everything else is all separate. And you'll end up damaging the table and damaging the playing surface. If you do manage to pick up a sectional slate table, so both of these are as well, so we've got a Brunswick Centurion or the Brixton here. Again, you could try to sort of slide it and move it if you wanted to. But what will happen is, because you've got these 3 separate pieces of slate, is that they will flex. And when it's installed, they will use a filler or wax to go in between each of the pieces, so that as you run your hand across it, you can't feel the gap there. And once you start to try to move the table, the filler or the wax will come free and it won't be level. And you can even end up where you can feel the wax or the filler has come up through the bottom of the playing surface there. And the problems that we've had is we've had a customer have their table installed, but then they wanted to put a rug underneath it, or it was not quite where they wanted it to be. So they try and move it and it'll wreck the whole installation. So best case scenario then is we'll have to reinstall it for them. Worst case scenario is something will become damaged in that process. We'll have to break it all down, take it all apart and replace the necessary components. So if you buy a sectional slate table, do not try and move it, because you will damage it, no doubt about it. So the second downside, not a massive one, is that you're always going to need to have a professional come to install it for you or uninstall it to move it somewhere else. It isn't the sort of thing that you can tackle yourself, because you'll probably damage it. If you're going to have it installed, you definitely need to have a professional install it, because generally speaking, a sectional slate table will come without the cloth installed. So you'll have the cushions will be bare. Each piece of slate obviously will be bare because they'll be taken in individually for you. And our installer will fit the cushion cloth, and then he will fit the slates, he'll level the slates and then fit the cloth to those slates. And that's a very skilled job, and it takes quite a time. So in the future, if you buy a sectional slate table, if you need to have it moved, say you sell it, you move house, or you want to change the room that it's in, you'll need to get a professional to come in and do it for you. And because it takes quite a bit of skill and a bit more time, it is more expensive to do than a single piece slate table. So in summary, what does this mean to you when you're choosing your pool table? Well, first of all, I wouldn't really worry about it too much, to be honest. I would just pick the table that you like the look of and then ask us for some advice if you're concerned about your use of the table. And in concern about your use of the table, really it means if you need to move it. So as I was explaining there, if you need to be able to potentially move the table for events or functions or just the way that you use your space, then you'll need to get a single piece table. And the majority of tables we sell will come as single piece tables. So 6 foot, 7 foot English pool table priced at around £1,000 or less. They're all single piece slate tables, and between 2 or 4 people you can easily pick up and move one of those tables. Obviously with a sectional slate table you can't do that, and those tables really are generally made for American pool. They'll be 8 or 9 foot in size. And they'll be much more expensive in terms of the price point that you're looking at. And that they may well come only in that format. They might well be sectional slate only, but we do a number of tables which can be made in either sectional or single piece. So depending upon your application, we can advise you on whether it's best to get a single piece slate or a sectional slate, for example, if you wanted to carry it upstairs and you couldn't get a one-piece slate up there easily. So don't be confused or concerned about sectional slate or single piece. If you've got any questions, just give us a call here or visit our showroom. We'll talk you through all you need to know and help you choose the right table for you, whether it's a single piece or a sectional piece table.